This is The Scoop for Monday.
Good morning. I'm Josh Holton with the WMNF News headlines. Half of Floridians losing Medicaid coverage are 20 years or younger. WMNF's Chris Young reports that Democratic state legislators are calling for more to be done to prevent the loss of coverage.
Of the over 524,000 Floridians who have lost coverage in the last 4 months, nearly 50% are individuals aged 20 or younger. House Minority Leader Fentress Driscoll blamed the DeSantis administration at a press conference in September.
So Florida can and should be doing more to prevent eligible Floridians from being disenrolled from Medicaid, but there's been an absolutely unacceptable absence of leadership from the DeSantis administration. And, I guess children from low-income families in Florida don't poll well in the GOP primary with voters in Iowa or New Hampshire.
The Democrats are asking the state to expand the Department of Children and Families customer call center capacity, provide additional training to DCF staff, and increase the number of automated eligibility renewals. The Senate Health and Human Services Appropriations Committee will hear presentations on October 11th from AHCA, the Department of Children and Families, and the Florida Healthy Kids Corps about redeterminations, according to a calendar published Monday. Meanwhile, the Tampa Bay Times reports Florida terminated medical coverage for almost 63,000 residents during the pandemic, according to a new federal audit. For WMNF News, I'm Chris Young.
The Tampa Bay Times reports Republican Governor Ron DeSantis' state transportation agency advised fertilizer giant Mosaic to double the size of its controversial proposal to test radioactive phosphate manufacturing waste as an ingredient in road building, according to documents filed to the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency. In March of last year, Mosaic asked the federal agency to take just under 500 tons of its phosphate byproduct called phosphogypsum and blend it into a test roadway at the company's facility in Mulberry. Phosphogypsum contains radium-226, which emits radiation during its decay to form radon, a potentially cancer-causing radioactive gas. Now, at the request of the governor's Florida Department of Transportation, Mosaic wants to raise that amount to 1,200 tons and increase the length of the test road by 2,000 feet, according to a letter from Mosaic to the EPA sent at the end of August. According to the Tampa Bay Times, more than 200 people gathered yesterday in Hillsborough County for a demonstration in support of the people of Palestine after Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu declared war following attacks from a militant group, Hamas, that killed hundreds of people.
Israel's military is scouring the country's south for Hamas fighters, guarding breaches in its border fence and pounding the Gaza Strip from the air. It comes as Israel vows to lay total siege to the impoverished Hamas-ruled territory in the wake of an unprecedented weekend incursion. More than 2 days after Hamas launched its surprise attack from Gaza, the military said the fighting had largely died down for now. Israel's vaunted military and intelligence apparatus was caught completely off guard, bringing heavy battles to the streets for the first time in decades. Israel formally declared war yesterday, portending greater fighting and a possible ground assault into Gaza. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu vowed to destroy the militants' military and governing capabilities.
Across the street, a small group gathered in response, holding flags of Israel. The group was escorted by law enforcement back to their cars. Union workers at Mack Trucks are on strike after voting down a tentative 5-year contract agreement that negotiators had reached with the company. United Auto Workers said 4,000 unionized workers walked out at 7 o'clock a.m. today, adding to the turmoil in the industry that has ensnared all three big Detroit automakers. Union President Sean Vane said in a letter to Mack parent company Volvo Trucks that 73% of workers voted against the deal in results counted yesterday. The UAW represents Mack workers in Pennsylvania, Maryland, and Florida. Union leaders had reached a tentative agreement on the deal on October 1st.
Over the past week alone, 2 political outsiders have taken steps to launch independent or third-party political bids, and the prospect of at least 2 more still looms. Leaders in both major parties acknowledge that the rise of serious outsider candidates threatens to undermine the strengths of Democratic and Republican candidates in the 2024 general election. Robert Kennedy Jr., an anti-vaccine conspiracy theorist and the part of the storied Democratic dynasty, is expected to become the latest to launch an independent or third-party presidential bid today. The rise of such outsider candidates in 2024 reflects the extraordinary unpopularity of both major parties.
For the weather, it is cool and clear in the Tampa Bay area. Highs today in the lower 80s, overnight lows in the lower 60s. I'm Josh Holton with the WMNF News headlines on 88.5 FM and the WMNF app.
This is The Scoop, recorded at WMNF Tampa.